Okay, let's take a look at number 1 for our guided practice. So let's do this together. We are going to be comparing two separate fractions and to see which is greater. Now, here we are. We have the whole fraction, right? The whole number 1 right here. The entire candy bar, the entire scarf, whatever you want to say the entire thing is. And then we have this first one here, and it looks like we have, looking at the denominator, they're all eighths, so it looks like that the pieces represent eighths. That means if we go all the way across, we should have 8 equal pieces to equal 1 whole. But for this first one, there's only 1, 2, 3. So we have 3/8 of, let's say it's the scarf that was shaded this aqua blue, okay? Then on this other scarf, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4/8 for the second one. So we want to compare 3/8 to 4/8. Now remember, very important when comparing fractions. First thing you look for is the denominator. Is the denominator the same? Okay, they are. That means all the individual pieces will be the same size. So you're comparing 3 of those eighths to 4 of those eighths. The other thing you want to make sure that you're considering is this scarf the same size as this scarf or this whole thing? Very important that you are comparing the same size of the whole. Remember, what if you had one giant scarf and one tiny scarf? That wouldn't be fair. So we need to make sure that the whole is the same. In this case, it is. So we're looking at 3/8 compared to 4/8. And since they are all the same size pieces, I think you can see that 3 is definitely less than 4. So our good old alligator here, crocodile, is going to be facing the 4 because it is hungry and it wants the bigger piece. So make sure that it's the less than symbol. Now let's move on to number 2. All right, for number 2, we're not given any pictures here. We are just given the fractions. So we're being asked to decide what is 3/6 compared to 2/6. Now we could draw pictures, but let's handle this without the pictures. So I'm going to walk you through the thought process that I want you to do as we're moving on in these problems. We're going to be looking at the denominator. Is the denominator the same? Well, this one's a 6 and this one's a 6. So that's telling me that if in my mind's eye I've got a scarf or whatever it is, they have been divided equally up into 6 equal parts. Boom, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means this one has 3 of them shaded, and this one has 2 of them shaded. And since both of these scarves have been divided up into 6 equal parts, these 3 parts, each one of these individual parts are the same. That's pretty cool. So if I have 3/6 compared to 2/6, is 3/6 greater than, equal to, or less than 2/6? Well, if I have 3 parts compared to 2 parts, I would say the 3 parts is greater than the 2 parts, right? So that crocodile is going to be opening its jaws to the bigger number. But remember, we are comparing fractions with the same denominator. As we move on in lessons, this is going to change. So we can't just assume just because this is a bigger number that it's more. But for right now, we are comparing fractions of the same denominator, so we are good. So in this instance, we have 3/6. 1, 2, 3. And in that one, there's only 2. So let's see, let's make a different color. Let's make it pink. 1, 2. So therefore, there's an extra one that's been shaded. This is bigger. All right, for number 4, number 3, which is right here on page 244, you're asked to reason to yourself using the example above, and that's this one right here, and I've got actually right here, got a picture of it right here for you. It says, how can models show that if two fractions have the same denominator, the fraction with the greater numerator is greater? Okay, so here's a model, and it is showing that the two fractions have the same denominator. How does the model help you to show that the fraction with the greater numerator is actually greater? Well, when I look at this model, it shows visually that there are more equal pieces covering the whole. So the model helps me to visualize the size of each fraction. And so the model, with the denominators being the same, models help show that a fraction with a greater numerator will be bigger than a fraction with a smaller numerator, because visually you can see it covers more of the whole. That's one way of saying it. Let's go to number 4. Let's take a look at number 4 in guided practice together. It says that 2 ribbons are the same length. Each has a pink part and a yellow part. One ribbon is 2/4 pink, and the other is 3/4 pink. Which fraction is greater, 2/4 or 3/4? All right. Now, what do we know? Let's take a look at that. What do we know? We know there's 2 ribbons, and they are the same length. Super important. They're the same length. Okay, cool. All right. So we're not talking about one small ribbon and one large ribbon. We know that each ribbon is the same length. That's super important. What else do we know? Well, each one has a pink part and a yellow part. Okay. One ribbon is 2/4 pink, and the other is 3/4 pink. All right, so let's go ahead and draw this out. So we've got 2 ribbons, right? So we're going to do 2 rectangles like so. And let's make them the same size, guys. If you're drawing this out yourself, when you get used to this, please make sure that they are the same. Now, I'm looking at the denominators, and there's the number 4. They both have the same denominator, 4. So that means they've been cut up into fourths. So let's do that. Let's cut them up into fourths. Yeah, you cut that in half, and I cut that in half, and that in half. Now we have fourths. So I'll do the same thing. I want to be as careful as I can with my drawings, making sure they're as close to being the same as possible. And now we can do some shading. They said there's a pink part and a yellow part. Well, one ribbon is 2/4 pink. So the numerator tells me what we're describing, how many parts. 2 of the 4 are pink. So I don't know, do I have pink? Let's see if I have pink. I do have pink, look at that, boom. Okay, so I'll do 2 out of the 4. Shade that one, and we'll shade that one. Okay, and the other ribbon, 3/4. So the numerator is a 3. 3 out of the 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Look how nicely these fraction strips model this different sizes of the fraction. Boy, can we just see obviously which one's bigger? So the one on the top is 2/4 pink, and the bottom is 3/4 pink. You can just see the bigger fraction. So I'm going to write these side by side. We've got 2/4 versus 3/4. We're going to put a less than, greater than, or equal symbol in the middle. And remember, we always read from left to right. So we want to say 2/4 is less than 3/4. So the less than symbol, I want you to think about it. Have the alligator's mouth open towards the bigger fraction. So that alligator is going to be facing towards the 3/4. Bam. So we have our less than symbol. 2/4 is less than 3/4. All right, you guys should be ready to rock and roll here. I want you to go on to independent practice and do number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, and do your best with that. And then we'll move on together to do problem solving. So come on back and we will do problem solving together.